Hi everyone and happy holidays. I just realized something. Every time I try making one of these videos, I feel like I have to move all my furniture around just to get a good angle with my smartphone. Like now there's a chair in front of me with a couple of boxes on it and a couple of books, and then my smartphone on that again. And it made me realize that I probably should have bought a tripod for Christmas, but instead I spent my money on a yearly subscription to the New Yorker, which is also great, but maybe if I collect them long enough, I can make a heap big enough to put my smartphone on. No? Well, anyway, welcome to my December book haul. So I've got 10 books to show to you this time. The first one is one that we've chosen with our book club for next month, and that is A Manual for Cleaning Women by Lucia Berlin. Most of the time we read in Dutch because we're a Flemish book group, but I decided that I wanted to read this one in English. The reason is because the cover is so gorgeous. When you see the Dutch version, it's like blue, and it's not ugly, but I think this is the most beautiful cover that I've bought this year. So yeah, I just had to go for this one. It's a collection of short stories about everyday life. I haven't read all of them yet, but the ones that I have read, I have enjoyed because it's about everyday life. It's about switchboard operators. It's about life in a laundromat. It's, not the grand stories that you might expect in a novel or something like that, but just, sometimes gritty, sometimes sweet, but always the little things in life, and that could be just as beautiful as big epic novels like A Little Life or something like that. So yeah, I think this is gonna be a good start to our book club next year. Another book that I've bought is The Gift by Cecilia Ahern, which I discussed in my previous video about Christmas reading. This is not the highest form of fiction, but I've read a couple of books by her this year and last year, I think, mostly on recommendations by a friend, and I quite enjoy her stories because they have a happy ending. There's always a message in them, and it doesn't require that much thinking, but you get a warm fuzzy feeling afterwards. And this book is on a homeless man, I think, and it's about how valuable your time is and your relations with other people, but that's all I know. But it's Cecilia Ahern and it cost like €2, so I wanted to pick it up, of course. The same day that I bought the Cecilia Ahern book, I also bought 2 David Mitchell books. I have already read Slate House and The Bone Clocks by him, so I thought I'd branch out in his oeuvre, so I bought Cloud Atlas, which I think is one of his most famous books. I know that it has been turned into a movie with Tom Hanks. I also know that it's quite an original structure, and that it takes place in a lot of different countries and places and time zones, I think. I know, having read 2 of his books already, that he likes to juggle with time and place, so I think I'm going to enjoy this also. Another book that I've bought by him is The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet. I've read the first 2 chapters or something like that, and I was immediately dropped into a Japanese childbirth with a Dutch doctor, and typical David Mitchell, and I really enjoyed it, so I think I'm going to try to finish this before the end of the year. I've got a couple of days left, so who knows, and otherwise gonna be a good beginning to the next year. Another book that I bought that day, because apparently I couldn't stop spending my money on books that day, was The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. I haven't read any of his books, but I know, like David Mitchell, that he is quite fond of magical realism, and a couple of my friends have been reading his books, like American Gods and such, over the last couple of months, so I thought I'd also give it a go. I think I'm going to enjoy this. Also that same day, because why not, I've bought There But For The by Ali Smith. This is a book about a dinner party, and there's a guest, a friend of a friend, that comes to the dinner party and suddenly decides to go upstairs and locks himself into a room in a house of people that he doesn't really know and just stays there for like months on end. So that is one of the most hilarious premises I've heard this year, so I just had to pick it up. I read How to Be Boat this year. It was my first book of 2015 that I read, and I really enjoyed it, so I think I'm going to enjoy this one too. Maybe I'll start with this one the next year, just, you know, bit of tradition. Always start the year with Ali Smith, no? And the last book that I bought that day, because, you know, I think I ran out of money, was By Nightfall by Michael Cunningham. I've read this book already since buying it. It's about a love triangle, but not your usual love triangle. It's about a couple of art brokers in New York, and the woman's brother comes to visit, and there's like kind of sexual tension between the husband and her brother, but then there's the twist on the end which makes it all, let's say, it was sad at the end, but quite a good read, yeah. Really enjoyed this one. I haven't read anything else by Michael Cunningham. I know he wrote The Hours, which, yeah, was the great movie, so I should pick that one up soon too. So, those were the books that I bought in one day. I also bought 2 other books. The second weekend of December, it was Independent Bookstore Day in Belgium. And when you bought a book in an independent bookstore, you got a little novella for free. And that was Voorbeelden van Verdriet by Annelies Verbeke, which translates to Examples of Sadness, which I find quite a good title. And it's a novella. It's like 28 pages, and it's about a woman who struggles with mental illness, and it's set at a time in which the prediction by the Mayas that the world was going to end. And you know, it's a quaint little book. Despite it only being 28 pages, it packs quite a punch. So I read this on the train home, and yeah, when I got off, I felt a little bit queasy, if I have to say it like that. The 2 books that I did buy that day, the first one was Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. I've been late to the Rainbow Rowell party. Only this month I've read Fangirl and Carry On. I've also been quite fortunate, I think, that I only discovered Fangirl this month and I didn't have to wait for Carry On to be published. Because, you know, all those people who have had to wait a year for that book, it was nice to just go from one book to the other. So this book, and it's about young love and mixtapes. I don't expect to be blown away by this book, but I expect to be charmed. That's also important, I think. And the final book that I bought this year was The People and the Trees by Hanya Yanagihara. I actually bought this book solely because I fell in love with her second book, A Little Life, this summer, which rendered me to tears, sobbing on the bathroom floor one early August morning. This deals also with abuse like A Little Life, I think, but it's set in Micronesia, which is a first for me. It's about an anthropological expedition in the 1950s. I'm not sure what to expect from this, but considering her second book was so great, I don't think I'll be disappointed by this one. Those were the 10 books that I got in December. I didn't get myself any for Christmas, but you know, considering I got a subscription to the New Yorker, I got plenty of reading to do for the next year. So yeah, thanks for watching, and happy holidays. Bye!